Welcome to the Six-Figure Author Experiment, where we help you break through your first or next $100,000 goal. Parental discretion is advised. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Six-Figure Author Experiment. Hi, Lee.
Hi, Russell. How you doing?
I'm doing so good, because we have our friend, my friend at least, Kathleen Sweeney from BookBrush on today to talk about social media. I met with her a few days ago, and I was like, can you come on the show like immediately and talk? And so I'm very excited. Hi, Kathleen.
Hello.
So before we get started, you want to talk a little bit about yourself and BookBrush to give everyone to get everyone caught up, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm Kathleen Sweeney with BookBrush. BookBrush started in 2018 in the author space as a do-it-yourself platform for authors to be able to create their own marketing graphics and all those things they didn't know they needed till they got to that part. Then over the years, we've added more tools and more things, and sometimes the authors tell us where we need to go. And they come in the help desk or they're in webinars and say, can you just do it for me? And so while our do-it-yourself platform is not going anywhere, in fact, we just hit 100,000 users last year. So that was exciting.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, but we also have some service side. So software's still there if you're a do-it-yourselfer, and we love all those folks. But we know there's a lot of people who do also like to sleep at night. And so you can offload those things to us. And we have full service social media management and another kind of in between step where you can hire us for a la carte items. Like if you just need a book trailer or some Amazon A+ content, things like that. So I'm excited to talk about all the different things that fit in with today's session.
Yeah, so we had we'll probably link this in the show notes, but there's a session that we did about hourly concepts with Kathleen last September or so on the podcast, and I keep saying like I've actually told several people about it, obviously, because we did the podcast episode. And then I knew about the social media management late last year. But then when I talked to Kathleen, I was so excited about all of these things because I hate social media. I am not on social media. I'm only on basically Substack and like very selectly some places on Facebook so I can run ads and like monitor some of our groups. And so I heard all about the social and and this launch, we're supposed to do social media, right? Like that's a thing, Lee?
Potentially. We have this checklist up on screen if you're watching, and we'll go through it. And if you're listening, you'll be able to download this from the show notes. So your checklist I took the general checklist, which we also have available for download, and I tailored it to you, and I pulled out a lot of the things that I figured you would say, no way, not doing that. But I kept the things that you've decided on, or it's probably a good idea. And I'm just going to jump in. You're going to launch book 1 July 8th, right?
Correct.
So right now we're in pre-launch, and pre-orders are published on retailers other than Amazon. You're going to wait until a month out to put up the first pre-order on Amazon for some extra algorithmic love. We did our past episodes. We've mentioned and explained that. And then, so in the pre-launch, I love to advertise and promote a book before people can buy it. I like to tease them. So I was going to say, create a Love My Book kit. So reread Magic or listen to it or just get in there and remember why you loved it. Remember why you wrote it. You can write about why you wrote it. You can start to just dictate some of those ideas if you want, or type them out. And definitely when you see a line or a paragraph or first chapters, whole chapters that really go, woo, and you feel like it can stand on alone by itself. Like this is a great introduction. Go ahead and start pulling that out. And people are like, a media kit. I'm going to call it an I Love My Book kit. Because we really come with this idea of when you love your book, that's all you need, because then you spend time with it, you pay attention to it, you get it edited, you find a great cover, and you pull these teasers. And my favorite way to market
use
my
these
book.
ones for ads too, right? Like these are what we're
Yeah,
using for.
absolutely. And I will pull out all sorts of teasers, including not safe for work teasers. I'll share those to my newsletter on what I call Freaky Fridays. And to like, here you go, here's something juicy for the weekend, click and get the rest. And if it is good, if it's good, but there's a kiss or there's some F-bombs or something, I'll create a sanitized version right in that document. I'm just doing this in Google Docs so that can be pulled for ads.
Cool. All right.
And all of this is just, you're compiling it, but really do come from a place of, ooh, my writing, because you love your books, and
yes, we went through that. You love your books.
When you love it, you want to share it. Yeah.
Right. If you, for some reason, don't love your books, then I'm sure you could have your ARC team go through and pull out their favorite pieces, or your assistant or your street team or somebody, and find like anytime you love a thing, highlight it or something. And I see then apply for merchandising. Pass there.
If you can get the promotion tab on Kobo and Barnes & Noble, you could apply for some. That might actually be more important as you have more books out, but it's good to kind of get in the habit. And you are going to go ahead and schedule a BookBub pre-order alert.
Yes.
You could probably do that. Well, I would wait until it's up on Amazon. So you have the Amazon link in there. Right. So that's a month out. And right now you've outsourced ads and newsletter promotions to written word media. We can do a lot more with ads and newsletter promotions, I think, when more books are out, and you'll probably take that onto your own, but we're going to see how they do with book one. And then I was trying to brainstorm, like, what else do you like to do? You have a current newsletter you could share with. I know you have other authors you could maybe swap with. Social media is a kind of blank spot for you. And on the one hand, I don't think it's necessary because it can be such a time suck, and the diminishing returns are after like 30 minutes on Facebook a week. I think Becca Syme did that math in one of her books. And I try to remind myself of that when I'm just checking it all the time. But on the other hand, recently I have people run my social media, and my wonderful, amazing assistant, Casey, went and pulled 1,000 influencers, if not 1,000, it was like hundreds, off of TikTok and Reels. And Renee and I contacted them, and we're starting to see promotion, like noise, buzz about our trilogy starting now. And honestly, it was a huge fear leap for me to do this. Renee emailed them, like, I couldn't even do it. And I just emailed Casey to thank her because, out of that 1,000 people, we got 17 people who wanted a paperback. So, it's just numbers. That's how it is. But then some of those people, like 2 of those people, I have found a couple of TikToks that they're doing. So for the time I spent with Casey, or on the list that I paid her to spend on that list, and maybe $25 per influencer shipping to a paperback or a little lovely box to wherever they are, we're getting some organic promotion. At the same time, I don't know how that works in the fantasy space.
Sure. This is a big thing.
Important. What about fantasy? Yeah.
Well, this is a really big thing. And I'd love to get your take on this too, Kathleen, because like there are things like TikTok works great for like steamy romance, especially, then like less good for other kinds of romance, but still pretty dang good for other kinds of romance. And then like not so good for things that are not romance. And a lot of these things, when you move them from romance to other categories, they don't quite like hold up. Partially because just romance is so enormous. Like it's just so big. There's like so many romance. Like I always say, like thriller, all of thriller can fit into romance, and all of everything else can fit into thriller. So it's like romance is basically on its own can encompass the rest of the indie publishing space. And so Kathleen, you just heard us say a lot of things, and I have so many questions. I'd love to know just like, what's up with social media? Why do I hate it so much? Why is it so bad? Is there a way to make it good besides hiring somebody?
Well, the first part I don't have an answer is why you hate it so much. That I don't know. But I can tell you why we think it's important. It's that social proof aspect. Everybody is a detective these days. So when they say, have you seen Russell's new book? And a friend tells a friend, what do people do? They go look it up on social media. That's their go-to tool. And if they don't find much or they can't find you, it's like your book's job interview and your book might not get the job. So we feel like it's important to have that well-branded presence. It's a lot when you talk about indirect sales. So it's not going to pay for itself with direct sales. There are other things that you can do with your money that will probably get you more for direct sales. But if it's super important to you and you realize that well-branded presence on social media can lead to indirect sales and just contributes to your overall social proof and shows people that you are the author you are and the books you have, people want to read them. You write books. All of those things are shown when you have a well-branded social media presence. So that's why we think it's important for you to have, but we know it falls to like the very bottom of the task list for a lot of authors. And the next thing they're not posting.
So you mentioned indirect. Can we go back for a second? Just like, sure. I know what indirect sales are, but like, I'm sure Lee knows what indirect sales are. But for people that are watching, like, can you talk about the difference between direct and indirect sales for a second?
So direct are the ones you can see you got the money for, like you get your Amazon report or wherever. Indirect are the ones that you can't always tell. How did they come in? Where did they come from? But they saw it somewhere. So it's indirect. You can't qualify. So we can't give you a report from putting you on Facebook because these aren't ads. These are just posts. But by having that presence there, how many people found you? And then navigated somewhere and ultimately got your book. So indirect versus direct seems, and by the time you say these words 5 times, you've got yourself in a tongue twister, but direct are the ones that you actually see on Amazon. The other ones are like, where did they come from? Yeah. Indirect.
It sounds like a little bit like this is sort of analogous in a bit to the spillover effect that you see on from when you're doing direct sales. How does it, is it the similarly? Is it different? Like, how are we parsing these things?
Yeah, that is such a direct influence though. So Kathleen, last episode, we talked about a self-liquidating offer, meaning I'm running ads to something and the ads are paying for itself. And we're doing that with our books on our store. And we're actually running every ad to our store versus Amazon. Like we used to always just spend on Amazon. And we see a massive halo effect. So we're running an ad to Big Bad Boss on the Midnight Romance Shopify. And if I turn up an ad, I see the Amazon sales go up. And if I start advertising the German book, I see the German ads go up. So there's pretty much a strong correlation. And that is people seeing the ad, clicking to our store or not clicking and going, well, let me just buy it on Amazon. Is it available on Amazon? And then we see the sales go up over there. I would say that that's still pretty direct, whereas indirect is more buzz.
Correct. So we would say running ads on Facebook will be direct sales. It's just you're posting your well-branded presence so that with our, when we handle full service, we post 6 days a week. So when someone does come to look you up, there's all kinds of content that they can look at, and then they decide to buy your book. So it's not from an ad, it's from the presence that's there. And we use a ton of hashtag strategy. So people who didn't even realize that they were in the market to buy the book, but they follow these hashtags, these are their friends talk about it, they go and look, and then they're like, oh yeah, that is a book I need to read. So we would call those the indirect, but ads, which isn't part of our social media management part, ads are definitely direct sales.
Awesome. Yeah, it's sort of, all right. So you have ads on one side, which have direct sales where you can actually see attributable, this is a conversion that led to this.
Yeah.
And then you have ads. And this even happens on Amazon where like Amazon's not always great at attributing sales to like an ad either. Like, so like you have indirect sales that come from ads, which are like, they saw an ad and then they went to buy. But those are both in like an ad bucket. And then this is like someone is searching you out, doesn't necessarily even know that or has heard of your book, but doesn't know much about you. And like, so even though there are indirect sales in ads, this is indirect sales, which are different from ads, right? All right.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Awesome. All right. So, the thing that blew me away is you talked about how you do a TikTok ad strategy or is a TikTok posting strategy with your clients that I thought was so smart. And so I'd love for you to kind of, if you're willing to talk about kind of what you do and like, I think it's something that a person could do, but also like it would be much easier to just like get interviewed by y'all once a quarter and then have that broken up.
Absolutely. So we have two plans for social media management. I'm going to start first with the Facebook and Instagram plan. That's the meta plan. I'm starting there because that's the first one we launched. And then, our earliest adopters and people tell us where we need to go. So we added the video plan. But taking a step back for Facebook and Instagram, that's where we post 6 days a week. And it's a mixture of static graphics and reels. So the reels are nice because they're like a mini book trailer, but they're vertical, of course, and they help keep your page fresh. And the video part is even there, just something that's not within reach for a lot of people to make on their own because they're really professional looking. So,
do you have a? I actually was blown away by like how many of these you have done. For you showed me a client. Do you mind telling me? Can you either take it to it or like just let us know and we can take it to it because
yep.
like I think it's like I watch them and I'm like, oh, this is a thing that I do not do that actually I see value in.
Yeah. So the art is really good. And
Well, it's just like the way
Yes.
they do basically book trailers like throughout the
yeah,
month, and they're just like constantly doing reels and book trailers, and like it's like I would never, I might, someone could gun to my head make me do Instagram, but like there's no like I would rather die than do video. Like I would
okay.
like to do like these to like edit reels because I used to be a professional editor and like I just hate it so much. So,
Well, we
but
don't
like
want you to die, so we got to
yes,
come up with a solution here.
so
Yeah.
So here's an example. This is author filling his social media since November. And so I'll scroll a little bit and I'll talk through what you're seeing here. But let me just scroll for a little bit here.
well, I love this one
And
because this
if
is
you're
a
not,
big
if you're just listening and you can't see,
yes. Can we talk about the
it's
second one
pretty
first?
cool. Um,
Um,
the other plan
no, the one that
or
says one man, one stand, or then retreat. Like the one that's the what do they call it? The trope point? The trope with like has like the
yes,
picture
I
with the
love
tropes.
those.
Yeah.
Yes, in any other genre, I would call them the adorably flirty arrows, but when you're not in a romance, I wouldn't necessarily call them that. But there's those little trope arrows, and I love calling out those different things. Those are really good. If you're just going to make your own graphics, that's a hot tip. List those things out because those are things that people, whether it's meddling family ties or Cold War thriller or enemies to lovers, all those different things. Whatever people like to read, they like you to tell them those are right in there. So those are a
Yep.
nice tip, I think.
Yes, this,
Um,
another one that I would never do, but I want to exist. So like to me, when we talked, I was just like, oh, like I'm not gonna post about like my lunch or anything, but like these are like legitimately all things that I think like a fan should have access to. This kind of thing, the reels, all of that other stuff. So like I love these, would never do them.
and that's okay. Somebody else can do these for
Right.
you. And it's all creating the experience on the page. So not every one of these is going to be a call to action that says buy my book, but we're trying to put images together that get off this vibe. So when you come in here, you can tell this is a suspense thriller kind of thing. No pink and purple flowers or anything like that. So you're getting the genre vibe. And then you can look through. He's got a dog in the book, so you see these different kind of things. But then I also mentioned that it's a mixture of static graphics and reels. So I'll click over. They're mixed in here. If you're new to this, in the second row on the right, there's a little play button in the corner. That means reels. But you can also click in the top to reels, and then it'll show you all the reels. So I'll play a couple of these because this is what I think is a great selling point of this, because these would be hard to put together on your own. So let me do this and let me know if you can hear it. Can you guys hear it?
No. Oh, yep. Now we can.
Okay.
So this is author Scott Blake. If you guys are just listening to the audio here, and they're playing a trailer for the Shadow Club, which I think is very cool. Like you
Yeah.
showed me this, Lee, and of all the things that you showed me on social media, like that this is the one that I'm like, I would never do that, but like I do want it to exist. Like I want a bunch of them. I want all of these things to exist, but I don't want to make them. And one of the nice things about this is if you use the hourly concepts, like you have to come with a brief. When you do the social media thing, like they just do stuff and I don't have to be involved.
I think you're excited to hire this out, and I think it makes sense, especially, you know, you're in the business already. You're not necessarily bootstrapping a lot of this. And all of these would make great ads. And that way you're getting constant stuff to throw up against the wall and test. And I really recommend put these on your self-liquidating offer, put it on your bundle page. You can have a website with like, you can just pull straight from Instagram by like, check it out here. Right. And then I would definitely run ads to that bundle page in the beginning and see which one on $10 a day out of the 15 they give you every month, which one is a huge hit, which one makes a great ad, which one is a sleeper. You know, the first one turns off, stops working, you turn it off, and the second one pops. And then every month you get 15 more. Like that's a no-brainer. So whenever I look at social media, just like I'm talking about, make that teaser document. Well, you can use those in newsletters. You can use them in ads. You can use them on social media. You can hand that brief. Ideally, you would hand, these are my favorite lines, that brief to whoever is managing your social media. And again, for marketing, I feel like do the thing once and use it 50 million times if you can do that, because it is such a time suck.
Yes, I agree, especially with the time suck part.
Yes. And it seems like an even larger time suck when it's something you don't like doing. You know, a big task and you're dreading it, it's like a double whammy of ugh. And so if this is something that you can take off your plate, give it to people who actually enjoy that. We have people who nerd out and like hashtags. That's perfect. They can come up with a hashtag strategy, because even if you have great looking graphics, if you don't have the right hashtags, or you don't know the optimal posting time, all those things that our team brings to the table, you know, you can be working really hard but not getting the results. So that's what, you know, we have people who do all those things for you.
Yeah.
And worst case, all of this is out of your head. You never think of it again. If you're doing it on your own, if you are bootstrapping, then I recommend first of the month is your social media day, and you batch everything and you use that scheduled post option and you just get it going. And I usually have my newsletter provider open at the same time. So I'm like, Freaky Friday, here's a long excerpt. And then I paste it to my newsletter and build out my launch that way. Because if we look back at your launch plan, I really want you to be sleeping, resting, watching a movie on launch day.
Oh, that's
because
right.
everything is already live and rolling.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things is like batching all of my newsletters and such. I do want to come back for a second and just say, like, all of the things that Kathleen just said is like, that is like pure desert energy. So like if you are a forest and you're like, oh my God, like all of this stuff sounds horrible. Hashtag management, posting at the optimum time. Like this is why in the book and on the author ecosystem Substack, like there's about building a team, because like a team is one that would be the one anything about optimizing or like arbitrage or like virality, like all of those things are like the desert energy, and like you have it inside of you to do it, but most of the people that listen to me at least are forests or like aquatics or like not deserts. And so like that is why you would hire this kind of person to do that. Now, however, I want to say, like, you might want to hire a social media person for community and interconnectivity and like engagement. And that is a different person likely, because they are a forest. That's big forest energy and big aquatic energy to like build a community together and make everyone feel seen. A desert maybe a good way is like a desert makes you feel seen, gets you seen by the most people. A forest makes everyone who's in your community feel seen. And a lot of people have the problem where they hire a community manager and then they're like, oh, I'm just going to have them run my ads or run my social media feed. And like they are terrible at it because they don't care about optimizations, because it's a very different skill set than like building a community for engagement.
Yeah, if you have a person who builds community, I want to hire them. That is not an easy thing to hire for. And this is delegating. I wanted to talk about delegating because no matter where you are in your author career, it can be helpful to delegate things. In the beginning, you're delegating doing laundry to your husband or something, which I did because I was pregnant. I literally couldn't lift the laundry basket. And he was like, forget about it. I'm doing this from now on. And then I watched his like passport. So it went from there. But it's easier to actually delegate those personal tasks. It's harder to delegate social media, and anything with community relationship is, I think, the hardest to delegate. So my point is, if you're new to delegating, it's a skill. You can be bad at it. It's okay. Choose the low-hanging fruit. So if something comes across and you say, oh, BookBrush does this media management, I can afford it. Do it, hire them, try it. And I'm a fan of like, try it for a launch or try it for a limited period. Can people do that with BookBrush?
We do have, for the full service, we have a 6-month contract because it's really a long game. And when we onboard with people and talk to them, I spend almost as much time telling them why they shouldn't do it as why they should do it, because I want them in the boat for the right reason. So I don't want anybody to think we're going to overpromise and underdeliver, as we're doing organic reach. So we're trying different hashtags. We're doing more of what works and slowly growing. We're not paying people to follow you. We want the right followers. So you can try. I still think 6 months isn't like a super long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not locked in for the rest of your life. We don't need your firstborn child, but we do need enough time to try different things and make some traction and keep going. So there's a 6-month contract for either plan, for the Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. And then we have the video one as well.
Yeah. Before we get to the video one, I just want to I want to talk for a second about like so if you are doing a small launch, like where like you're not going to want to be seen by everyone, like maybe this social media stuff doesn't make sense to do because you're not going to get that much indirect. But like I'm a big proponent of attention domination, which is something I learned from Frank Kern. I don't know if we've talked about it on this podcast before, but it's like for a short amount of time, you are everywhere. And like people cannot not see you. And if you want to use that strategy, it's like you're going to be in a lot of ads. You're going to like be in a lot of podcasts. You're going to like be doing a lot of stuff. And like when you're doing that, I like to, when I'm building my marketing, I don't care where the money comes from. I know if I throw enough money at enough sources, like if I throw X money at 10 different sources that work, eventually I will get here. It's a lot harder, even with like Facebook and really good attribution, to know like where every dollar's coming from, because somebody might see an ad and click on it, but like really what turned them was like the previous ad, and then they couldn't find your page, or like they see an ad and then they go to Amazon. So like you don't actually know it's not like a perfect system where you know exactly where every dollar is coming from. And I feel like if you're like a Tundra, attention domination is gonna really like resonate with you, because you're like, I'm everywhere. Like Sky Warren is a great like attention domination person, because it's like when she launches for 2 weeks, she's everywhere. You can't not see her. And then like she vanishes for like 3 months and like goes a hibernator, does whatever she wants to do. Like and then the next time it's like, where's Sky go? And like the minute you start thinking about that, it's like, here it is. And like everywhere again for like a small amount of time. And then like kind of, not that she vanishes forever, but like that's the kind of Tundra strategy, is you make a peak, you get as high as humanly possible, and then like you let that long tail, which is like, I don't know, I learned long tail from Sky and J.A. Huss, who are both Tundras. So like that is like the ideal like Tundra happiness place. I want to, though, really talk about the TikTok thing, because for the first time ever, someone has told me something about TikTok that made me be like, I actually could do that. So can you talk about your the video plan?
Yep, I sure can. I'm going to step back for 1 second. When you're in your small batch tundra world domination for a short period of time, the hourly concepts could be a ticket because you could order a la carte a couple of those reels, a couple ads and things that you don't have time to do, but it's no long-term commitment. So I just wanted to throw that in there as like a stepping stone middle ground to take a little off your plate at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. And then you're batching them yourself.
Yeah, so they would be delivered to you. You have 100% ownership, and then you post them. So there's still some work on you, but sometimes I feel like the posting is the least stressful. It's the creation that you're like, I don't have any video skills, or I don't know where to turn. And so somebody can make those. Now, as Russell said, you're still providing the content, like wording for a reel and things like that. We wouldn't have time to write that, but you could probably pull things from your blurb and we could put those together, and then you would post them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just 2 cents on that.
Yes.
And then moving on to video land. So this is our newest addition to the social media management, and it's a video plan. So this is going to be TikTok and YouTube. And this is set up a little bit differently than the other one. What we do is create and post 15 reels per month, and it will be for TikTok and for YouTube. So when you think about TikTok, it really tends to be more organic. Like the author needs to be on there, which is why a lot of people are not on there. Because they're like, no. In fact, 2 of the people that signed up said it's because they don't want to do it. That's why they're making themselves do it. So to create the content, because a lot of people don't have themselves in video content and they don't want to dance around with their book, and that's okay. We record one professional long form interview quarterly. Then we take it and chop that up to make your clips and reels throughout the month. So you're in there, it's you. We're recording it professionally. It's nice because it's recorded. I was the guinea pig for one. So, we practiced the questions, and then they asked me the question. I'm like, what was my answer going to be for that? And then we went back and they just did it again. And so we can make the author look good because it's all pre-recorded and we'll put you in the best light. It's not just like live and you're like, oh no, I forgot my answer. So I think that part works really well. And then because, variety is good, we mix in some of those reels like we just looked at with the Scott Blade example. So those kind of mini book trailers are fun. We also have a tool that can get reader testimonials and reader reviews. And so you have video testimonials that we can sprinkle in. And then another cool thing is we can take sections from your chapter, and then it depends how you feel about AI. We can use an AI voice. You can read it yourself. And we put sound and music with that. Like you've got the video or the recorded part of the chapter with a voice, and then images and video and music that go with it. So it's pretty cool there too.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Lay? Is that like,
Are you going to do it?
well, I mean, it's, I
Please do it.
I feel
Please
like I'm
do
going
it.
to do one of these 2 things. Like, I don't know which one. I'm very nervous about getting on a new platform, but I am already on I am already on like YouTube, and I am already on Instagram, and I'm already on Facebook. So
I feel like YouTube, for some reason, I kept going YouTube. And I didn't know if it was like you're going to have your book club and do like a live book club launch or something. Something made me go, because I don't know where the fantasy readers are.
right.
I think everybody's on TikTok right now. And YouTube is another strong contender. I think Reddit might also be another one. I don't even know how to target that. But
Well, and what makes me think I'm probably going to do the Facebook and Instagram one makes sense is I'm going to run Facebook ads and Instagram ads. So people will naturally probably be on Facebook to look me up and like move and like see that stuff, as opposed to like I'm not planning on doing anything on like TikTok or YouTube. So it would be like a new thing. Whereas if they're already on the platform, it makes sense to have a bunch of these reels and such loaded. I don't know though.
yeah, well, so definitely do the meta package, and please get the content so you can run ads to the self-liquidating offer. That is, I think, a cornerstone of your strategy here, and I'm hoping you're going to do it. The reason I'd say TikTok and the YouTube package sounds great for you is that you're a natural. You have podcasts, you're comfortable with video, you're comfortable with being interviewed and talking about your books, you're passionate, and it really would make sense. But you have several launches. So start with one thing, see how it goes, do the other thing, and if you're listening, you're like, well, I don't know where to start. The a la carte option is great. I've definitely used BookBrush just to make those basic ads we talked about, where it's the book background and then the book, like a paperback cover, stuck on the book background. So that's my go-to ad. Very simple. And with BookBrush, you can get the square, you can get the rectangle, you can get a paperback, you can get a hand holding up an ebook, whatever you want. So BookBrush is worth checking out. And you can, or right now I hire people who probably use BookBrush.
It's definitely a go-to tool for people doing graphics for authors and authors, anything in the author space. So I tell people a lot, there's a lot of nice design tools out there, but they're not all designed specifically for authors. So every time you turn around, everything in BookBrush is author related. So it's really a nice fit for folks who are doing authory stuff.
Yeah.
And it's an easy platform for someone who's not going to ever get Photoshop.
Yeah.
Well, and I also feel like it's a nice platform just to get ideas of what kinds of things you can do. Like, I mean, I have a Canva account, I have Photoshop, like we have all across Monica and I, like we have BookBrush and Canva and Photoshop and Affinity and like everything you can imagine, because like sometimes different tools do different things, but like it's always nice to see BookBrush, or even just go to this page and be like, oh, well, like, do you want a map? Like, I want a map. Like, that's what I'm going to use it for that's what I'm going to use like the hourly concepts for first, probably. Like at some point, like I'm going to get a map probably of the Obsidian Spindle Saga series. But like there's just all of these things that are on this page are things I want to exist, or many of them, not all of them, things that I want to exist, but like don't, like I'm not going to do BookBub ads. I'm just not going to set these up. I just like, there's just no way in the world that I will set up BookBub ads. I will run them, I will give money to them, but like I will never set them up.
Yeah. And if you're watching, you can see an example of the book cover on a book background on the green cover here.
Yes.
So yeah, using BookBrush, you're either doing it yourself or getting them to do it for you. The social media package makes sense. I think that you should try it and see how it goes. And you can start with one level and then add the next if it sounds fun, makes sense, especially if you're seeing a return, or if you're getting so much use out of the images, the imagery, you're putting it on your direct store page, as extra social proof and stuff. I flip reviews. People say, oh, I love these books. And I flip that. And then I just have in my I love my book media kit, the teasers, and then a bunch of like, these are so awesome. Like I'm just putting it right up here. So Princess Butterfly says, so freaking good. I would give this book 10 stars if I could. Yay. Now that's here. And I remember to send it out in my newsletter. And there's the link, there's the blurb, and a bunch of excerpts that get increasingly not safe for work. So I will close that document.
Yes. So what if I want 30 like of them? Can like I pay extra? Like, can I combine hourly concepts? Like, what if 15 is not enough? Like over the course of, let's say I want to build up like a arsenal of them before I really start posting. Like, is there a way to like combine both of these things together?
Yep, a couple different ways. So if you decided to do the Meta plan, which is Facebook and Instagram, and the TikTok and YouTube, you actually have almost extra content because you're still going to have 4 of those reels from your Facebook and Instagram page. And keep in mind, you have 100% ownership of all these things. So like Lee was saying, use those. I love getting extra mileage out of this stuff. If you paid for it, use it. So put them other places if you want to. Put them in your newsletter, put them wherever. But you could have our team, and this is something, if you have both plans, we can cross post. So those 4 from there can go over there, and the 15 here can be used over here if they feel like the right fit. Maybe they're all not, because sometimes if you post too many times on Facebook and Instagram, it feels like you're competing against yourself, where TikTok feels like it's like the more the merrier. Post 8 times a day if you have that in you. Most people don't. You could also then ask for extras in hourly concepts, order those, and you would want to either work with our team and have us post them. or make just the posting schedule so that
Right.
it looks like intentional, not just like we posted and you posted all at the same time and it was a hot mess express. But
Right.
yes, we can make that
Well, that
work if
won't be
you
a
wanted to
problem
ramp
because I
up.
don't post ever at all, 0. So like I don't have any problem. There won't be any problem there.
This
Uh,
is going to be a problem when your friends are like, "Hey, I messaged you on Instagram." My brother does this all the time, and I'm like, "Ian, it's not me. It's Casey in the Philippines."
yeah.
And I will say we don't handle your inbox. So if you do get an alert that you have a message that's more personal, we do handle the commenting and engagement. So we dedicate on either plan up to an hour a week of commenting back and forth, keeping the chatter going. We want it to feel like you. So maybe if people know you, this will be a bust. But mostly we want it to look like Russell just got really active and he's busy over there. They may know it wasn't you, but we want it to feel authentic. So if you're somebody who uses a lot of emojis, we will do that. If you don't, we won't. If you have old soul, we'll try to make that match. But that sprinkles out about 10 minutes a day throughout the week to keep things going.
That's like
That's
just a
good.
little bit more than the 30 minutes a week you talked about at the top. So like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth the money. Especially guys, if you're listening and you're going, "I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do this." Russell's launch sheet, I cut what didn't sound fun for him. The stuff that was like, no way, no how. And you need to do that too, because your time, your energy, your bandwidth is the most important thing. And that's why you hate social media, Russell, because it's sucking away your life.
oh,
And
it's
you'd rather be doing something else.
it's just yes, like I don't have brain. I don't want to devote brain space. Like I mean, to not to get like a little bit like I got long COVID 2 years ago, and like since then I just don't have brain space. Like it just like I have a like 20% of the brain space that I used to for like stuff like this, where it's like the nice to have stuff. Like all of it is like encapsulated with like the must have. And then, but there's a lot of time that's just like Russell does nothing in a day, and like it's very boring, but like Russell does nothing in a day is how I like build up for like doing things like this. So like I we talked
Good.
about this at least off camera, if not on camera. It's like I have more money than time right now. And like this launch is going to be one that I want to I want to use all of as many strategies as I possibly can because we're going to hopefully get a lot of eyeballs on it and a lot of traction on it. And like book 1 will, by the time we get to book 9 at the end of the year, like it's going to like be like a steamroller, and like there will be money coming in that like ads have brought in, and like there will be other stuff that happens. Do I know that's going to happen? No, I'm currently throwing a lot of money at things and being like, it's going to work out. Like I trust Lee, I trust all the experts we got on, like it's going to work out. But like if it works out even close to what like we're talking about, then like a social media strategy will be necessary because you will like lose those sales if you don't have an indirect strategy and a chance to at least get the people who were on the platform being like, well, who are you to like follow you, to like do things like so that I think is what track like if I was not in this high release mode, I don't think I'd be thinking about social media, or if we didn't have this podcast, I don't think I'd be thinking about it. But like you said something late the other day that was like, I'm on TikTok, I just tell people that like you don't exist, or go listen to the podcast. I'm like, well, I don't know, like if there's this thing and like there's a significant chance that like people would subscribe or get into our ecosystem if I was on TikTok, there's now like a compelling reason to do it that didn't exist before. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I will say though, nothing is essential and necessary because, when you have long COVID or are pregnant and have a baby, Nora Roberts talks about there are all these balls in the air. Some of them are glass and some of them are plastic. You catch the glass ones and it all will work out. And so the glass balls in your life, the people you love and care about, and the bills you need to pay, and the dogs you need to walk, and then the books you want to write, and the time you want to spend, and those days off, that's a glass ball. That is really important because you're giving yourself space to be bored, to be creative, and then to have energy to do the next thing. social media will always be here. Community will always be here. And that's why I talked about diminishing returns. You can pour so much time into it and get nothing back. But if you are pouring time and you are getting something back, like I like Facebook, I like connecting with people on Facebook. I absolutely need to do it less and spend more time just with my kids. But I'm not doing it because I have to. I'm doing it because I want to. Whereas for you, I think hiring someone and then being like, check it off my list, never think of it again, reuse all the content they're giving me in as many fun ways as possible. You can use these pictures in your newsletter. I absolutely would send the links to the cool videos to your newsletter once in a while. Like, hey, this the book trailer's here. Yay, it's on YouTube. And people will find you. You don't have to do anything. It sounds like this is a good option for you. And if you're listening and you're like, I can't do social media, great. Go write your books and have a newsletter.
Yes. I will say that I feel like I have a handle on the like to do things. Like I like being on Substack and writing the newsletter. Like that keeps my business functioning. But like it's gotten to the point that there's like a gap where it's like, oh, well, like there's other things I should be doing like at the stage that I'm in a career. And that's when I think like social media management, community management, like doing these things. I think anyone could use hourly concepts. Like we didn't even talk about hourly concepts, but like if you like hourly concepts is so good, like just even A+ content. Like I know you can make A+ content in BookBrush, but like there's just
no, I don't. I just hire someone to make it who then uses BookBrush to make it.
Probably, yes. But like the book trailers, like if you scroll down, there's just like so many things that it's like, well, do you need this if you're just starting out? Like maybe not, but like you probably need a logo. Like you probably like would like a book trailer. Like you likely will like want to run a Kickstarter and like they'll do all the Kickstarter images. This movie poster is like one of my favorite things, the movie poster, because like you could use that as like an alternate cover for your Kickstarter or like on like a retailer exclusive, like something like that. Like you could do a movie trailer, like BookBub ads probably won't be your number one traffic source, but like once you start getting successful on things like BookBub ads or Facebook ads or like whatever, like there's so many writers who are not graphically inclined. I am graphically inclined, but like I have many clients who show me like their direct sales page and I'm like, would you buy from here? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, like I wouldn't either. So like it needs to look like good. And like you can like what I've learned from Deserts and working with people like you, Lee, and Monica and Melissa Storm is like they just find people who can do the thing that they want done. And I think authors are so often like, how can I hire cheap? And then they get burned out hiring cheap because like you then have to train them or like it fails or like it blows up or like it's not what you want or like you end up spending more hours in the day than like training them and then they leave or like they're incommunicative. But like what I really learned in the past year or 2 years is like if you find the person who already does the exact thing that you want done and you just pay their higher rate, like you don't have to do it and you don't have to like waste brain space with them.
It's out of your head. That's the most important thing. It is actually checked off your list. Because if you're delegating and then you're still worried about it, you didn't successfully delegate it. It's okay. We've all done it. We all do it. That just means there's a delegation mismatch. So you're going to grow your skills. You're going to be like, that didn't work. Let me try something else. Hire someone else. And that's okay. Because then you do find the people you can rely on and your team builds out. And 10 years in, you do have a team. And guess what? They're all contractors. So you are still kind of light and agile in your business and can change things up, as sales go up and down or your energy goes up and down. And that's just the delegating road. But when I look at people who are ahead of me and are making a couple million a year, I've noticed they just have a bigger team that can do more things. And in the author space, it might look like they hired out, they got a audiobook deal. They got a publishing book deal, like a print book deal. They hired some social media managers. They just are, they have a bigger team. So they're making more, and yes, they are profiting more, but their expenses also have grown. And that's just how business is. And you can decide how you want to run it. Russell, it sounds like it would make sense for you to spend some of your budget. You have ads kind of taken care of. The only other ads, the ones to Amazon, are going to be taken care of by written word media. So you've already kind of paid that out. And now anything else you're spending would be on the self-liquidating offer, which I'm hoping will grow profits for you slowly. Start with $10 a day, and getting the content will be awesome. Getting the images bulk handed to you is worth the monthly rate. If they did no social media, just getting images that you didn't have to spend time creating is really worth it to me.
Absolutely. And what I love about BookBrush is like you can spend so much time looking for people that are trustworthy, or you can just hire BookBrush to do it. And like Kathleen is very emailable and findable. And like, I know that like they are going to take care because they have 100,000 people that like they answer to. And so building that team out, like, I'm not saying it can all be done by BookBrush, but I really appreciate that. Like, oh, all the graphic stuff, like all the stuff I personally hate to make, but love to see, is like, you can take care of that. And I really appreciate that you guys do that.
Yeah, a delegating mistake that a lot of people make is they hire their friend who needs money. And I'm not saying don't do it. We've all done it. I hired my sister. She's great now. And you can hire someone who is dependable, or hire someone that you're trying to help. And typically the one who is just dependable is going to work out better. So if you've made a different hiring decision and it didn't work out so much, it's not you. You can fix that decision. And just go for someone who's in business, who does it for a living, who is going to show up at Monday on 9 a.m. and get it done, versus a favor or bartering. Just get it done, because really you want it out of your head.
For sure. All right, Kathleen, we're about nearing the hour. I don't want to take more of your time, but like, I want to know, like, what do we miss here? What final things you have to say? Like, what do you want to impart? Like, where are people going to get this?
So I think she'll have the social media page up there, and that details the different plans. The first step, if you're interested in either of the plans, is book a free call with me. So there's a pop-up with me. It goes to the Calendly schedule, and you can hop in on there, and the call's free. We talk about how it would work for you. I'll tell you why you shouldn't do it, and then you can decide if you want to do it. And, I'm not super salesy. It's just fun to talk through and see if it's a good fit for you. And then we'll go from there.
Awesome. Sounds great. And that's bookbrush.com/social-media-management.
Correct.
Awesome, Kathleen. Any final thoughts? Any final imparting wisdom we want to put to our viewers before we let you go?
We just love being in the author space in whatever way we can help you with. So if you want to do your own images, that's fine. If you want to do any of the a la carte items or full service, but just check out BookBrush if you're an author and you haven't been to the platform.
Awesome. I love it.
Awesome. Yay.
Thanks for listening. For more, head on over to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com for archive access, resources, and more. We'll see you next time.